Heroes never die, never die, never die.
Hey, this is Cohmervac, and in this video I'm going to be doing something a little bit unconventional. I'm going to present to you 5 reasons I think Overwatch could fail. Now, what am I defining a failure as? Well, it's important to understand that a company like Blizzard usually will not have complete failures with games, because if they see a problem, they're going to do stuff to fix that problem. But that doesn't mean that their games won't have failings, meaning things that could be detrimental to the game itself, the game community, and the company in the end. And if such things aren't fixed within a given amount of time, they could cause bigger problems down the road. Seeing as how this is a new IP and a new genre for Blizzard, I think it's very reasonable to ask what could go wrong, and then perhaps what could we do to improve the situation if such a situation were to arrive. Now, these aren't going to be in any particular order, I'm just going to be reading them off as I've listed them here on my notes. Number 1 is premature launch. Now, unfortunately, you'll see companies sometimes try and conform to certain dates, or they'll give in almost to their own hype trains, and they'll release the game, they'll take it out of beta before it's really finished, and that can be detrimental to people who are coming in to try it for the first time, because they try it, they get a bad taste in their mouth because the game feels broken, and then they don't come back, and then they don't share the game with other people, you know, they're just done with it. This is especially bad if you've had people pre-order the game, and when they get it and, you know, this is it, you know, they're not going to be very happy with their investment. Now, I think pre-ordering games is not a good idea for the most part, but that's another topic entirely. This is definitely something that could be a problem for Overwatch, and I would advise that, you know, if Blizzard needs to scoot the release date back some, definitely do that, because it's much better than dealing with the repercussions of a premature launch. Now, obviously, there is a certain difference between if this is a box payment game where you just buy it, or it's a free-to-play game. Usually, the detriments are going to be more severe if people pay for the game. Number 2 reason is performance issues and bugs. Now, not only is this a new genre for Blizzard, and not only is it a new IP for Blizzard, but it's also a new game engine, and that definitely could pose problems. And I think these problems you could very likely see with a premature launch. However, they can still show up even if the game launch is completely successful, and these things can still show up post-launch. Even if the launch is really successful, these things can be unnoticed because, you know, they might be overshadowed a bit, or they can crop up again in different severity due to just different patches that come into the game. And so if Overwatch kind of develops a history where it's always been kind of buggy and the performance isn't what it should be, and over time, you know, they fix some bugs and then they introduce more bugs via patches, yeah, it could be bad rep for the game, and it doesn't create a very good experience. Now, if you remember watching the live streams that came out via Ellohime and Hellenic, the game did look like it was running really well. However, you've got to keep in mind that being as this is a public event, Blizzard, I'm sure, handpicked the maps and other certain things about the event, as well as the hardware, so that they could show the best experience possible. You know, otherwise it would just be bad marketing. So while I think it's a good sign, it really doesn't represent what the final product as far as performance and bugs could be. The number 3 area I think that they could fail in is over-favoring the esports scene. Now, how does this happen exactly? Well, say there are a bunch of, you know, good Overwatch players, and they're professionals, and they're playing in esports, and they're getting casted, and, you know, that generates a lot of revenue and all that. But say Blizzard is like, hey, you know, let's take a look at what these guys think about the game. And they do that too much, and they take a look at those statistics too much, and they start kind of developing the game for esports. That creates a bias in development, which isn't good, because a large majority of players are not going to be best represented by that, and are not going to be at the same skill level. And if there are too many changes that really only help esports but actually hurt the general player, that could be definitely bad for the community, and over time people could leave over such issues. Number 4 is if Blizzard makes too many bad decisions as far as game balancing and game mechanics go. So let's say, for example, all upon a sudden, they put out a patch where Tracer can no longer use her dash ability unless she's on the ground. So she can't use it when she's, you know, up in the air somewhere. Then let's say that the community really didn't have any problem with that, and they ask, you know, was that just some guy at Blizzard's opinion? You know, what was the real reason you changed this? Because we didn't have any problem with it, and we didn't notice any problem with it. And in fact, a lot of people really liked that we could do that and get around the map better as Tracer. So why did you make that decision when in fact it wasn't hurting anyone or causing any problems, and a lot of Tracer players really liked and relied on that ability for their Tracer play? Such things could happen with Overwatch. However, who are we to judge what good balance or good gameplay mechanics are? Though I think it would definitely say a lot if the community as a whole is like, why did you do this? We don't like this. And if this becomes some sort of trend where Blizzard keeps doing things like this and making quote-unquote bad decisions, it could definitely hurt the game. And, you know, this could be just a disconnect of communication, or it could just be a bad decision. And that leads into number 5, which could be, you know, broken maps and balance issues. Now, obviously, you know, Blizzard's not perfect, the game's not going to be perfect, and a lot of people are going to have different points of views. However, if there are issues that the community sees as pretty big, though Blizzard may not have that issue ranked very high because, you know, they're a company, the game's got a lot of problems sometimes, and they can't always get to everything at once, and so that delay in time could definitely cause issues and cause people to get discouraged. As well as if there's a disconnect in communication or point of views between large amounts of people or Blizzard themselves and the community to where certain issues don't get fixed, and that could definitely cause people to become, you know, even more discouraged and upset about the game and possibly leave for a while. I think the best solution to this problem, as well as the best way to avoid this problem, is just good communication between members of the community and Blizzard developers. Now, something else I'm going to mention, though I don't think I'll put it on the list because I think it's very unlikely, is that perhaps Overwatch could miss its mark in its genre. Now, the gameplay looks pretty good so far, and I think it does a really good job of kind of expanding itself out of the traditional first-person shooter genre. But there's definitely a difference between watching the game getting played in the most ideal situation while you're hyped to play it, and then getting the game for yourself, and then fully playing it. And it may end up, for some people, that, you know, it's like, yeah, well, it doesn't really expand too much outside of the general genre, and this game or that game already does a really good job with it, so, you know, maybe it really isn't as interesting as I thought it might be. No, I think this is very unlikely, since, as I mentioned, I think it does a really good job so far of expanding itself outside the traditional genre of first-person shooters. However, this is definitely something I think Blizzard should keep in mind in trying to keep the game outside of the general traditional first-person shooter genre, and I think that, you know, it could cause people to lose interest over time if the game isn't really as unique as it may look. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video, and I will be making probably another one today that's going to be something along the lines of 5 reasons Overwatch could succeed, so keep your eyes out for that. But hopefully I thought you guys may enjoy this video, something a little bit different than, you know, the traditional Overwatch hype train stuff you're seeing. But, you know, a little critical thinking never hurt anyone, so thanks for watching. Have a great day. Cohmervac signing off.